We will call this meeting to order, our regular council meeting for November the 28th. And I'm just going to have our Deputy Mayor Maceras read the land acknowledgement for this week, please.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Maceras. And are there any additions or deletions from the agenda? No, could I please have somebody make a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll move into 3.1, the regular council meeting minutes. When you're ready, could I please have someone make a motion to adopt those?
I'll move those minutes, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then 3.2, the agenda and priorities meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hystad. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to 4.1, the road closure bylaw with Director Jenkins.
Sorry, Mayor Barkley, just call the public hearing.
Yep, sorry.
To order, please.
I knew that, sorry. Yeah, got it, the wrong sheet of paper. So we're going to hereby declare the public hearing relating to bylaw number, just let me turn my page. I got it, just a minute, I know. Sorry, 1696-2022 open. And the order of this public hearing shall be the introduction of the bylaw by administration. Then we will call to hear from anyone in support of the bylaw, and we will call to hear from anyone in opposition to the bylaw. So I'd like to ask Director Jenkins to please introduce this bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So bylaw 1696-2022 is a bylaw proposing to close a portion of 52nd Street Close. The closure of this roadway is necessary to facilitate the lease of the lands, which are currently and have for quite some time been utilized by the adjacent property owner for the parking of vehicles. Following the closure, a newly titled parcel will be issued, which could be subject to this lease. The lands in the area are currently designated established industrial and are part of a historically wider roadway that approaches the train tracks there. So the process to close a portion of public road allowance is first, a bylaw is prepared and given first reading. So this occurred for this bylaw back in October. So a notice was published in the newspaper and notifications were sent to adjacent landowners and utility companies to notify them of this public hearing that we're having here today. Following the hearing, comments received will be forwarded to the Minister of Transportation with any rationale if there are any objections expressed today. Then that would come back to council for final readings if approval is received from the Minister of Transportation.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. So what I would ask, if there's anyone who supports the bylaw and wishes to speak in favor of it, please come forward. And we'll have you state your name at the microphone at the desk here. Can I just get you to turn the mic on, please? And yes. There you go. Thank you. Just so we have some people online so they can hear.
Sure.
Thanks.
Scott Knudsen from Innisfail Transfer. And we've had this property for a lot of years. So, and we have it leased out, and it's kind of helps the tenant to operate his business, basically. That's about all I have to say. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your input.
Now we'll turn this off.
Yes, please. Is there anyone else that would like to?
K-N-U
And is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak in favor of the bylaw? Okay, is there anyone in the gallery who is opposed to the bylaw and wishes to speak? Okay, I'll just have you come up, please, and state your name and speak into the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Jim Foley, and I'm an adjacent landowner. I just had a few questions, like, it doesn't appear to be a road closure. It seems like you're pulling out a lot in that area, is that correct? Am I allowed to ask questions, or do I just?
Yes, Director Jenkins will answer your questions. Thank you.
Yes, so the area in the red is actually part of the road plan. Historically, from what we understand, the roadway was actually wider in preparation that there may have been an overpass over the tracks at one time, was how they planned those roads. So that area is technically considered part of the road. In the province of Alberta, roads are under the jurisdiction of the province, so we can't just say it's okay to park trucks there like that. We have to go through this process to formally
Okay, and
close.
so are you actually gonna close it and then offer to help them?
So then it would be able to be leased
Okay.
properly so that we can have a
So there'd
formal
be a
agreement in
revenue and
place. Yes.
I was just wondering if it was gonna get, my concern was it was just gonna get fenced off and then become maintenance for the town and a cost for the town, and
No,
wasn't gonna be utilized, and that it was doing damage and not being a positive thing, so.
no,
I'm not-
it'll, for all intents and purposes, from someone looking at it, it will be the same as what it is now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not opposed to that, I'd be in favor of it, but I just didn't understand
Okay.
and wanted to know either way. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Foley.
Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak who's opposed to the bylaw? No? Are there any further comments from administration? Okay, and does council have any questions? No? Seeing none, then I will please ask for a motion that we close this public hearing.
Mayor Barkley, I would make that motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wing. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then we have a recommended motion from administration. If somebody would like to make that motion, please.
Mayor Barkley, I'll do so. The council directs administration to prepare and submit the road closure bylaw 1696-2022 package to the Minister of Transportation for consideration and approval.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. Any discussion, questions? No, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And now we will move into 5.1. So we have the parent societies from John Wilson Elementary School and St. Marguerite Bourgeois Catholic School. So please come forward. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having us and listening to our proposal today. So I'm Selena Frisley. I am the Vice Principal at St. Marguerite School.
And my name is Georgie Pierney. I'm the Vice Principal at Ecole John Wilson. What you're receiving right now is just our proposal package. So we have joined together with Red Deer Catholic School and our Chinook's Edge School Division with this community-focused initiative. So the overview of our suggestion here, or projection, is to state we're raising money for a playground. So when you look at our playground at our schools, it looks like we do have a few structures in place, but when you think about it as a whole, we have, in our school, I can speak at Ecole John Wilson, we have 460, 470 students. And when COVID happened a couple years ago, we had to actually cohort the kids. So picture one structure with 100 kids at each of these structures. And now we have 3 because we had one removed in 2020. So we have the grade 3s and 4s now have to share a structure. So one goes in the field actually, and then one comes and gets the equipment. So there is a need, but I know that many people, when we started this, they said, well, you already have structures, why do you need more? I think losing the one structure has really affected our students, and that is why we're here today.
Yes, so our goal is really the creation of an inclusive play structure that is sensory rich, can connect community, and a place where families, students, and community members can connect regardless of ability, age, stage of life. We really want to make it a play structure that can be enjoyed by all in an inclusive way. So that's one of our real points to this playground as well, is that it is accessible. And not every single element of it is accessible, but that, you know, students that are in wheelchairs or have mobility issues are able to be part of the playground and enjoy it as well. So just like to share a story. We have a little guy at our school right now that is in a wheelchair, and right, for him, all of his friends are on the playground, and instead he just rolls from the top of the hill and back up in his like electric wheelchair. So I mean, if he had an opportunity to be able to go around the playground and there was some like sensory activities that he could participate in and feel more as part of the school, that would be beautiful. And as we're looking into that, we have more and more students with needs coming through our school.
Absolutely. And we also have a couple of students in wheelchairs as well. So there's about 800 to 1,000 students that use this playground every single day. We share it at recess. We have phys ed classes. Even the high school students will come and join in sometimes on our equipment. We are looking for a space that allows children to learn through play and enhance social, emotional, cognitive, and physical skills. So our guiding principles is connecting people and encourage active living, supporting inclusivity, encouraging harmonious use of the playground for everyone, and harmonious use between the two school divisions as well, enhancing our infrastructure and wheelchair accessible play area.
Beautiful. So our vision for the future is connecting us to play. Sensory rich play, social play, creative, imaginative, connecting the students in terms of well-being, providing an active space for all students of the Innisfail campus, and a community space where families can come to on the weekends as well and after school hours. In one of our other presentations, we had a member that we were presenting to ask us, what about in the winter? Then the playgrounds just sit in the winter, and we both kind of giggled because our playgrounds are used year-round. The kids are in snowsuits, going down slides, so it's used year-round.
Yes. And just for some research to support our project, sports, cultural, leisure, and recreational activities play an important role in supporting mental well-being, cultivating interpersonal relationships, promoting positive development, and increasing physical health. And according to the Child and Youth Wellbeing in Alberta report, 73% of children and youth surveyed reported a decrease in their physical activity since the pandemic began. And we've noticed that for sure. And in support of children with disabilities in our community, our playground will offer inclusive access. A study conducted by Physical Health Education Canada from 2013 indicated 38% of Canadian children with a disability almost never get physical exercise after school, compared to 10% typically developed in children right now. And we think that that's a lot higher now. Those stats are a little bit older in 2013, but we indicate that it's probably higher.
Perfect. So in terms of our process, so I've kind of picked up on this project just in this year, but I know that Georgie has been working on it the last number of years. So they have a committee formed that is working diligently, making plans, and researching what is best for our students, what's best for the community. Public stakeholders have been provided with awareness, have been provided feedback so that we can engage our stakeholders and see what everyone's thoughts are regarding a new playground. Then coming up with a draft plan. So we went through Blue Imp. So the proposal and kind of a general look of it, draft, is attached to your handouts. And then our goal is to come up with our final plan as we move closer. Did you want to add to that?
Yes, we just collaborated together. We asked some grade 4, grade 3 students a couple of years ago what would they like to see in the playground. So we came up with a wish list, and then we shared it with previous admin at St. Anne's there. And some of the feedback that we have received is more benches. So we'll have some seating areas as well. Basically, we've taken some stakeholders. You may have seen us, we were recipients there at Smile Cookies, Tim Hortons Smile Cookies. In the morning, Angela and I were there waving at people. So some of our fundraising opportunities were the Tim Hortons Smile Cookies, which we did fairly well. We ran out of cookies, and so Tim Hortons has approached us and asked if we would continue again in May, and we would be the Smile Cookie campaign again. Innisfil Growers, casinos, we've accepted some donations. We're doing some hot dog sales, and we're having an event where it's just in the making, but we're going to organize a hot dog sale and bottle drop-off here in Innisfil, and we'll see how that goes. We're just starting to talk about that. And so far raised just an estimate of $45,000 to $50,000 thus far. So as you know, playground structures are quite costly, so we have a long ways to go. Yeah. So our proposal is that we're asking the town of Innisfil if you would support us financially as well as collaboratively in partnership. It takes a lot of people, especially in volunteering events and whatnot. And so we just thought we would come forward and make you aware that this is what we've been doing because this started 3 years ago and we're slowly just coming out. Anything you'd like to add?
I think that's it.
Okay, well, thank you. Just a quick question. Have you looked into grant opportunities?
Yes, we have. So the last 2 years, we have definitely approached many people with grants. What they like to see is that we've made up to at least 75% of the funding thus far. And if you notice in our package, the wish list was around $361,000. It's probably gone up now in cost with like everything. So we have approached several different organizations. We are going to wait when we, just next year, I think we're going to hit the floor with that because they also have matching grants, and we'd like to have a little bit more money before we do that.
And we do have a grant writer that works with our school division that's actively looking into the grants. So we have a big file folder of the grants that we're waiting to apply for.
Okay, questions from council?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, and thank you for your presentation. I just have one question, and it's around, what about the two school divisions or the two school boards? Are they contributing, or are they?
So playgrounds are not funded. We don't receive any dollars by school division, or it's in our budget. So our schools are responsible for the maintenance piece. We don't get any government funding.
No capital cost, no capital budget? Okay. And the second question is, I see the proposed motion has a blank there, it says in the amount of so many dollars. What about, yeah, it's on the screen, I think, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. The question I have is, what about in kind? I know with the arena playground, the town contributed their bobcat with the big auger and dug holes, right?
Yes.
So that would be, you'd be open for something like that?
We would certainly be open for that. We have discussed quite lengthy, the last few years ago, I guess, when the other structure was put in place, we had volunteers. And it's my understanding that there was an accident, someone was hurt. And so therefore, Blue Imp, we're going with Blue Imp because it's Canadian. And they basically said their warranty and insurance on that we couldn't guarantee the warranty but we were certainly in kind with, like, if there's somebody with the layout of the land, developing the land, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, different model that we used for the Kinsman. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Bates, what you look like?
I guess
Sorry,
I'm
you
always
look like you were going
expected to ask a question.
You just looked like you were going to ask something, so.
Well, you already answered one that I had. I think that your quote was from April, and so you don't know what it the ultimate cost might be. And the other thing I'm looking at is in the actual quote, you're looking at using wood fiber for the grounds.
Yes, it was cost efficient, so that was what he had projected in the quote. Now, the reason we did get, the draft, we applied for the co-op space grant and was declined for 2 years now. So we did have to project something, and then we just said to him, let's just come up with some ideas before we really secure this. So that's why this is still in draft. We're not opposed to any other material.
No, I'm
We
just
certainly-
curious, because
Yeah.
well, the last one the one we did, which was a town playground,
Yes.
to replace one that we removed, had the rubber, which is the ultimate way to go.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have the stuff going everywhere, and it
Yes,
kind of,
yes.
it doesn't have ongoing maintenance, so I'm just curious of that. Well, we're working on budget, so, thank you.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we are in the middle of budget right now, so we spent 2 days last week and another day tomorrow. It's not pretty. And I'm wondering, maybe process at this point is, maybe CEO Becker, you could jump in here if you don't mind, but, because I'm going to throw some more work on you, but I'm wondering if there can be some collaboration between you and the town, just to maybe throw around some ideas, and because I'll be very honest, just with a tax increase that we're looking at, we still have a significant deficit in our budget, and so we're struggling, and we have another playground on our books for next year too in another area of town, so it's difficult to say right now, but I'm wondering, the town may even be able to guide you towards some grants that maybe they're aware of.
Right.
But
No, we would appreciate that. Blue
that
Imp is
okay?
also very, very good at, they give us the Alberta grants, provincial grants,
Okay.
and a list of them as well, but we certainly would love to work together. And we did go to the Rotary Club and presented there. We'll present to the Legions, Kinsmen. So there's a few. And I think too, is just to bring awareness,
Yeah.
because I think we've been quietly doing this because of the COVID years. So not too many people knew that we've been raising money for 3 years now. So we're out here now. So.
yeah, no, we're very appreciative of you coming forward, and I'm surprised, I guess, these doesn't come within the school budget or come from the provincial government budget or something, but now we know, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Councillor Hystad has a question.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity to do some fundraising, like for myself, Charlotte's on the school board with the Catholic school board, and Dawn looks after the Legion. I think there's opportunities for us to partner, even as individuals as well, to do some fundraising. And that's where, if I'm willing to jump in a meeting and have those conversations with your councils if you want to. But yeah, I believe the community can help out, and not the town of Innisfil, but I think if everybody's working together, I think we'll get there. So,
Yes.
especially with all the kids, they spend most of their lives at these schools,
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Yes.
thanks.
Councillor, sorry, Bates.
Yeah, just another thought. Councillor Harrison had mentioned the in-kind potential. Next time you're talking to Blue Imp, if it was presented that it could potentially be the town, not a volunteer, that might change their thoughts a whole bunch about, some in-kind potential work too that
Yes.
would replace, a contractor. And,
Yeah, that sounds good. We can check into that,
and
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, we're busy too, but.
Oh, for sure.
But it is an alternative to look at.
Yes,
Thank you.
well, thank you.
And we're open to collaborate and work at any ideas that any of you have, so thank you.
Is that okay, CEO Becker?
Yeah, Mayor Barkley, I think we'll just follow up following the delegation in the next few days and just see if we can connect and see what we can come up with.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate it, and happy fundraising. Okay, we'll move on to 6.1, the CAO report.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. I won't go through the whole report, but the first part of it, I didn't want to take for granted council wishes, wanted to have administration explore a regional police advisory committee. I think your guidance is required if you wished for us to do that. The idea of a regional police advisory committee came about through our staff sergeant at our most recent Innisfil Police and Safe Communities Committee meeting. There was some interest from the committee to learn more, but we did not achieve a formal motion to advise council to do so. Administration did meet with Red Deer County representative as well as RCMP just to talk about what that could look like. And before we advance that review or research any further, I just wanted to acknowledge if you wanted administration to continue on with that research and bring that back to council for with more detail. So again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, directing staff to do research when something council has not really formally provided that direction. So just looking to either formalize that direction or some clarity on your direction would be great. And the rest of the report is there for your review. A lot of time has been spent obviously with some training with ICS, and then the budget has been really a focus of the team here. So if there's any questions, council.
Can you give us any insight, CEO Becker, as to your perspective on how a regional committee would work?
Mayor Barclay, it's preliminary. We chatted about a few different options, but again, I shared our bylaw, our terms of reference with RCMP and the county. They weren't quite familiar with our program. They're just starting off, but yeah, I think there's some merits. But also you can branch off a little bit more direct if you wanted something more local. But until we kind of pull a draft together, we still need a few hours around the table to explore what that could be.
Okay, Councillor Hystad.
Yeah, thanks for that, CO Becker. I think there's merit to this. Just, attending the policing, the committee's RCMP event on November 15th. I think there's an opportunity for us to do some further work with the county and look at some type of governance model that could work for the region. And that's what I was getting from that meeting, because there seemed to be interest to, be involved. And I felt that some of the county residents kind of felt like it was a community Innisfail focus, which it was, but there's opportunities to help and assist in policing in the region. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Yeah, I'm mixed about it, to be honest with you. Just, we pay for the municipal employees, and, I worry that we lose Innisfail focus, I guess. I think it's great that we can have collaboration with the county, and I assume that would include the Black Falls detachment as well. But to have that in place all the time without our local committee, I think would take away from what the work of the local committee. So I don't know if you can find kind of a hybrid where, there's obviously, I think from that night, we gained some insight into there's probably some work for the detachment here to do with county residents and with Red Deer County, but, we also have kind of two separate identities as well. So I see both being a benefit, but I would hate to lose all of it to a regional committee myself. So if somebody would like to make the recommended motions.
I so move that council directs administration to research a regional police advisory committee governance model and report back to a future council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. Any further comments around this idea? Okay, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. And then I'll just have somebody please make a motion to approve the CAO report.
I move that council approves the CAO report dated November 28th, 2022 as information.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Maceras. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. And we will now move into council action control. there's no questions, I'll have somebody make a motion that we accept this as information, please.
Mayor Barclay, I would move that we accept this as information.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wing. All in favor? Okay, unanimous, thank you. And now we will move into 7.1 with Director Jenkins and the Red Deer County Recreation Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So we have two agreements to review with council today. The first being the Red Deer County Recreation and Culture Grant Agreement for the next 5-year period, which would be an extension on an existing agreement we have, as well the library agreement, which is a new offer from the county that we'll go through today. So Red Deer County provides operational funding to the town to support the provision of rec and culture services to area residents. Our current agreement will expire at the end of 2022, and we have a proposed updated agreement before you today. Essentially, the agreements outline the payment of operating funds from the county to the town. In return, basically, we treat county residents as local participants at our pool, arena, cemetery, all of those. There's no differentiated rate for county residents as opposed to town residents. So the county works around a framework to determine allocations to each of the urban municipalities within their boundaries. This is based on population and the types of facilities available in each of those communities. So there is a briefing note attached from the county, but essentially, so the proposed 2023 allocation comes to a total of just over $400,000, which is about a $10,000 increase from our current year. And that's with the first 3 years of the agreement, it goes up by about $10,000 a year. And then in year 4 and 5, it jumps up almost $60,000 for those final 2 years, which is essentially based on their formula that they provide. So based on the federal census, they determine a per capita population within sort of the Innisfail area, which is 4,876 individuals. For the first 3 years of the funding, they're providing a $42 per resident amount. For years 4 and 5, that jumps up to $50 per resident, so that's what reflects that increase. Kara, if you just want to go to page 31 of the there you go. So this essentially breaks down how the funding's calculated. So there's a $70,000 base amount because we're a community between 5,000 and 10,000 people. Then there's the per capita amount, and then based on what facilities are present within the community, they allocate various amounts to each of those. So maybe I will stop there and we'll just talk about the Rec and Culture Agreement, and then we can move on to the library agreement.
Questions? Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Yeah, just one, I don't see years 4 and 5 here.
It's just the next page if she scrolls down a
okay.
little further. Yeah.
There we go, thank you.
Director Jenkins, can I ask you how the inflation rate is calculated? Like, is there a formula that they use, or?
So the formula, it's not necessarily indicative of inflation. That's not. And essentially, we met with the county early in 2022, so we weren't necessarily seeing, the inflation conversation was not necessarily as front and center as it is currently. But that's, they're looking at a 2.5% is what they're projecting through the term of this agreement.
How do you think it would be viewed if we ask for a specific formula to use to, because I mean, I look at this and I know what we're going through with budget, and, you know, 2.7 is great, but it's 4% below our increased costs.
I guess the biggest challenge with Red Deer County is that they they come around and negotiate with everyone. They're not, some of the beauty of this is that we don't have to go around and be like, Penhold, what did they give you? And Sylvan, what did you get? So, you know, they do go through a process of meeting with everyone. They have added a number of categories to this. So in our previous agreement, there was no allocation for museums. There was nothing for soccer pitches. There's baseball diamonds is broke out. Those are amenities that weren't reflected in the previous agreement. So really trying to keep that continuity. I don't know if you have any other question or comments, Todd, there?
To the question, Mayor Barclay, and I believe it's really hard to determine the formulas and how they calculate besides the budget they've allocated. They have so much dollars they want to allocate to the urbans for support, and that's how, I believe that's how they came up with the numbers. Certainly up to council if you wish to respond back with a certain expectation. But yeah, do we always want more? Of course, recreation is one of our biggest line items within our budgets. Same time, there is some effort to make some increases too. So it really depends what your expectations are.
Yeah, no, and I'm pleased to see the additions on there. That's wonderful. And any further questions? Councillor Maceros?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Through to Director Jenkins. Do we just get a check for this at some point, just for the full amount? And then do we have to account for it back, or like according to each of these budget lines? I'm not trying to ask if we can
No,
spend
we
it.
don't. There's no grant reporting requirement. We do generally allocate these to the various departments, as you'll see in your budget, but it's not exact necessarily. You know, you'll see the cemetery show up in the cemetery budget and the pool in the arena, but how some of those ball diamonds, where they end up in our budget pages varies a bit.
Thank you, Councillor Maceros. Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. Through to Director Jenkins. So I get the beauty of this model for them, and I'm impressed that they've been as inclusive as they have. So I think this is a really positive step. But I wonder about the conversation with them moving forward to say, in the near future, within hopefully the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to put a brand new aquatic facility online that will have a very different operating revenue model, and so I don't want that. I'd like it specified that this is not going to preclude us from coming and asking for capital to start with, and then understand then once that building is up and running, our recreation budget will change, and so I'm not sure a five-year or consideration to renegotiate after 3 years or something. I don't know. I would leave that up to your wizardry and mastery, but I just don't want to lose sight of the fact that we want capital, but we also will have increased costs as we move forward.
Yeah, and the agreement is specific to operating, and that's been an ongoing conversation. How that reflects in the amount for a pool. One thing I do think we need to be cautious with Red Deer County is, as they're growing as a more and more urban municipality and are going to be likely providing recreation facilities, that all of a sudden the expectation doesn't go the other way. So that's just my sort of cautious throwing out there.
Can I just add something? So, but are they expecting to add their own recreation facilities into their, I'm just curious, or are they looking for the rest of us to just continue doing what we're doing?
That's a political question.
Yeah.
We like
Well,
to interject.
sure, I get that.
And that'd be something council could determine with your engagement with Red Deer County, perhaps. How I see this agreement, if you have a new pool in 3 years, you're gonna get $30,000. You're not gonna get a super bonus for having a brand new pool, as I see this agreement.
And also in the agreement, it's quite clear if we do want to ask for capital, that it's kind of laid out. So I don't know if you've had any discussions with them so far, Director Jenkins, a little bit about that or not, but.
They are aware, and we have had a couple of conversations, and their desire to kind of bring all of the urbans and themselves together to talk about what everybody's doing. So again, for their benefit too, that Innisfail's building a pool and Penhold's building this, that we all don't come in the same year and say, hey, we've got
Yeah.
$200 million of capital projects. You
Yeah.
guys gonna help us out with that? So,
Yeah, it seemed to be kind of laid out like how, when they want to be approached when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So just that we don't, as Councillor Wing said, that we don't lose sight of that. And yeah, it's easy for us to sit here and say, give us lots more, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. So, any more, Councillor Bates?
Yeah, just through to administration. So obviously, we haven't officially said we're going to do anything with the pool yet. So with that exception, does administration feel that this is in line? And then as we went back, we would say that, by the way, we are planning to have a pool probably completed in this timeframe, and we would want to discuss that separately, obviously.
So I guess they are aware we're looking to build a pool. Based on the conversations we've had with council to date, we would be, year 5 would probably be the earliest that we would be having an operational pool. So I think we have that opportunity to revisit. Just
But
as a note,
you'd still have the capital.
yeah, we can still have the capital conversation
Question.
throughout the agreement. You know, with, I think Sylvan's probably the only other urban that has a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember actually to the question, I did connect with 2 other urbans, not outside of the city. And they're happy with, administratively anyway, with the effort to increase and add in. But certainly put it to you on the other side of that. So there are some efforts to increase funding. And on the capital side, I know it's per request, and there has been some wins for us, skate park for one. I'm not sure success on other ones, but recent success anyway. But want to make sure we meet that. I guess going back, it's hard to change when 2 or 3 or 4 of the urbans are, hey, we're good with this, and so it's a bigger philosophical discussion at the political level that would be required if you want to make adjustments in the near future on this agreement.
Okay, I appreciate that. And it's stated here that, you know, obviously they don't pay any difference. Are any of the urbans within their capture area specifying a different fee for county versus that you're aware of? Like, I'm not aware of any, I'm just.
That's the sort of stipulation of
That's
the
where they're trying
agreement
to
is
get
that
to,
we
yeah.
don't do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Director Jenkins, like the money for the village, like museum, will that go directly to the historical village? And
I believe it shows, so on your budget sheet for cultural facilities, it shows as a Red Deer County contribution in
Yeah, kind of
in
an
the
in-out.
revenue, and then
Yeah.
our grant to others is out
Okay.
of that same budget.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for answering all the questions. So I'll just have somebody make the recommended motion, please.
Just a minute, I gotta find it.
Okay, there it is. It's up. It's on the
I
screen.
had it too. I'll move that council approves the Red Deer County Town of Innisfail Recreation and Culture Grant Agreement 2023-2027 as presented.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bates, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. And then we will move into the library agreement discussion.
Okay, so the second agreement, and originally the county had intended to roll this just into the recreation and culture agreement itself, but through a process with RMA and legal teams, they were advised to have it as a separate agreement, just because libraries don't fall under the ICFs in the same way that other services do, because they're dictated through the Libraries Act. So this is new funding, and this is something with past library board experience we've been lobbying for a long time to get direct funding from the counties to the libraries. So this is a good step. The county's rural municipalities do contribute to the libraries in a bit of a roundabout way through a provincial grant, and the way Red Deer County allocates that money, they just take the money and divide it by the 10 libraries or something that are in the county, and I think each library gets $4,800 or something is the way it works out. So this does represent direct contribution to the library. So it's new, it's good. You'll see a little, Kara's got the correct numbers. So the first part in their memo represented only 280 memberships. But after the library's presentation last week, we got that bumped up to 366. So we've got a little bit more there.
Okay, thank you. So the memberships, those are actual county memberships?
Yes.
So it doesn't take into consideration any programming or anything that's going on where you may not have a membership to access the programming, or do you have to have a membership to access the programming, or?
I don't believe you have to
Yeah.
go into the library. And that's, I believe Tara made some comments last week too, that, I can go to Spruce View and get a free membership and then utilize the Innisfail Library as my home library without paying for a membership.
Okay.
But it does seem, and this is kind of across the board on programs, library memberships, even school enrollment, we tend to be between 20 and 30% county resident to 70 to 80% town users on most of our stuff, and that's pretty reflective in that membership number too.
Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, and through to Director Jenkins. The Innisfail Library has a budget line for revenue for memberships, but they haven't sold memberships since COVID.
Yeah.
They had the capacity to not do that. So do you think the county will push, will the county continue to pay per membership if there's no membership fee at the Innisfail Library?
If I go to buy a membership then I would have to pay for it.
Right, but you don't buy memberships at the Innisfail Library right now. They're free.
They're free right now,
Right, so I guess that was just a question. And then the other question that I have is relative to a huge debate that's going on through the Parkland Regional Library family, and that is around the per capita numbers. So in the agreement that's in place with Parkland and all of the partnering municipalities, they're to reflect their per capita is based on numbers that come out of municipal affairs. Government of Alberta made a change though this last year and said, no, numbers will come from Treasury Board. And so there's a big fight going on at the Parkland table. But the question is here, what number per capita is the county using?
So this is the number of Red Deer County memberships as of October from the Innisfail Public Library. That's Tara's number of Red Deer County.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? If not, I'll have somebody please make the recommended motion.
Mayor Barkley, I would move that council approve the Red Deer County Town of Innisfail Library Grant Agreement 2023 to 2027 as presented.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. I'm wondering, CEO Becker, not now, but in the new year, I know previously we were going to meet with county several months ago, and then it was changed due to COVID. I wonder if we could maybe set something up or kind of work on setting something up sometime in the new year, whether it's springtime or whatever, so that we can maybe host them here like we did Penhold one time. Okay, thank you. And we will move on to community coach disposal with Director Jenkins.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So we spoke about this item last week at AMP with respect to the community coach. The Transportation Committee on November 10th made two motions respecting the community coach. One being that the committee recommends to council that the community coach must be disposed of by auction. And the second being that a recommendation to council that the balance of the community bus reserve, proceeds of the sale of the bus, and any current year bus operating surplus be allocated to the PACE bus reserve. So we have looked at various options for auctions. We're recommending the sale of the bus at the next available auction. It may or may not actually be at the Michener Allen auction referenced there, where we're able to place a reserve bid of $50,000 on the bus. So looking for council consideration of two possible motions there.
Okay, could I please have someone make a motion?
I'd so move that council directs administration to dispose of the community coach bus by reserved auction at the earliest opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harrison. Any discussion? Councillor Bates?
So does that imply the 50,000 as the reserved number? Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? No? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried unanimously. And then the second motion, the council allocates a current balance of the bus reserve, the proceeds of the sales from the coach to any operating surplus for the current year to the PACE reserve.
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, unanimous, thank you. And we'll move on to 7.3 on the PACE bus operation with Director Jenkins.
Okay, so another motion coming out of the Transportation Committee meeting, following a request through the Legion as the operating service. The committee made the motion that council consider adjusting the PACE transportation hours of operation effective January 1st, 2023, moving to Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, Saturday no service, and Sunday 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So currently, this is essentially a change removing the Friday evening hours. So right now, on Fridays, they operate till 9 p.m. They operate from 9 till 3 on Saturday and 9 to 3 on Sunday. So we'd be removing the Friday evening hours, all of the Saturday hours, and condensing the Sunday hours. The Legion requested the reduction of hours through the committee due to very low ridership during these times. The reduced hours, but still keeping Sunday service, was maintained as there is a group of regular users that utilize the service for attending church services. So yeah, just looking for that motion. The council motion is adjusted a little bit from the Transportation Committee just to reflect an effective date of January 3rd would be the first operational day with those hours.
Okay, I'll ask somebody to make the recommended motion and then we can have a discussion. Councillor Maceros?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that council approves the PACE bus hours of operations effective January 3rd, 2023, as indicated.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question or two, and whether it's Councillor Maceros or Councillor Harrison can answer it, but I guess I see it says there was low ridership. Does that mean there's no ridership on Saturdays? And my concern is, and I understand that this request is kind of coming from the Legion, but my concern is, and we talked about this before on transportation, that Saturday we have no service. Somebody is at home, or 2 or 3 people need service to get to the grocery store to get something, and there's nothing available for them.
It's not no ridership. The ridership doesn't make it worthwhile to hold a driver for 8 hours. It's probably $100 a day for his wage, so we might get 1 or 2 people that's riding. No.
And I guess my point, Councillor Harrison, is those 1 or 2, like how important is it to them to be able to go do what they need to do? Because I'm only asking because we went through this like 4 years ago with transportation and we extended the hours because we felt having the handy bus was so important for people with disabilities to be able to go do what they need to do.
That was pre-COVID, and we had the ridership 4 years or 3 years ago. That was up, that made it worthwhile to offer that service. I think through advertising, if we advertise no Saturday service, the people that need it on Saturdays, it's not medical appointments. It's coming down to pick up, you know, the groceries.
Groceries, yeah.
And that kind of thing. So I think through an effective communication with the lodges and the people, and out there that, you know, can you schedule your milk run on a Friday? I think that'll look I think. And if we do decide, or if there is riders that are gonna, if the ridership increases, then we can certainly change the hours
Okay.
back. But right now, you know, from a fiscally responsible, it doesn't, it's not worth it. You know, the driver sits at home with the bus and he might get one call or two, and it's, you know, down to the co-op to pick up a quart of milk, that kind of thing. I know it's needed, but I think if they can work it into their schedules during the week, I think they'll get their quart of milk and that, so,
No, fair enough. I just was curious about that, and
yeah.
that you're
Yeah,
potentially would be open to maybe changing if need be down the road.
Well, I think down the road, if the ridership increases, and we all certainly hope it does after this COVID thing gets straightened out, that then, yeah, you can go back to a Saturday service. On the Sunday, like yesterday, we had, I believe, eight trips, or 8 people going to church. So that's Sunday 9 till 1 is quite, it's beneficial from a fiscally responsible. So, but I would certainly be open for down the road if the ridership's there.
Yeah, no, thank you for your
Yeah,
insight.
thank you, yeah.
Councillor Bates?
Just listening to that dialogue, I'm certainly in favor of this as a start, or, I mean, as the next step, because no matter what you do, somebody could say, well, there's that one person that wants to be just outside this. So this sounds like a logical next step and to be determined.
Okay, so we have a motion. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. And we will move on to Victim Services Redesign 7.4 with Manager Mackenzie. Welcome.
So I'm here today to provide council with information regarding the Victim Services Provincial Redesign. As a result of Victim Services presentation to council on September 6th, the motion was made to bring back information regarding the Justice and Solicitor General's Victim Services Program redesign and the anticipated impacts on the Innisfil Victim Service Program. So administration met with the Provincial Director of Victim Services, Trent Forsberg, on October 18th to discuss the proposed service delivery model. The timeline for the implementation of this model is April of 2024, with the implementation consultant slated to determine the program rollout over the course of 2023. The proposed 4-zone model, the map is attached in the slide deck, will replace the current 62 Solicitor General funded volunteer board operated victim service units. The proposed model will change the current governance model of victim services, and the 4 zones will employ their own centralized professional support staff. Victim caseworkers will be dispersed throughout each zone, with each caseworker working in their own community and co-located within the local RCMP detachment, and then will report back to the regional manager. Currently within Central Zone, there is 16 VSU programs operating. This will be replaced by 41 caseworkers. This proposed change will see more caseworkers than detachments, which may mean the potential for additional staff in the local detachment. The intention of the proposed service delivery model for police-based victim service units is to encourage the consistency in services, reduce administrative and service duplication, include sustainable paid staffing, and reduce the over-reliance on volunteer advocates. The proposed service delivery model will include longer-term funding to provide greater operational stability and address the reluctance of some organizations to collaborate. The concerns have been brought forward regarding addressing victims of non-criminal traumatic events, so suicide, other sudden deaths, fire, natural disasters, and motor vehicle collision fatalities. Currently, the Victims of Crime and Public Safety Act is very specific that victims of crime and public safety fund may only be used to assist or benefit victims of criminal events. The recommendation from the MLA report is that the current mandate for victim services units be maintained. And our Innisfil Victim Service Unit currently provides the service outside of their grant agreement through other sources, primarily fundraising. There is currently conversation taking place at a provincial level about how they are going to address non-criminal events moving forward into this new zonal model. If council determines that the proposed model will not meet community needs related to victim service supports, proposal for alternate service delivery may be put forward to the SolGen for consideration of approval. If the town were successful in a proposal, all funding would become the responsibility of the municipality. As per previous presentations from our Innisfil Victim Service Units, our current unit receives approximately $133,000 annually through a one-year funding cycle. Any funding available through the SolGen would be determined by them and would be equivalent to the costs associated with having a caseworker in our detachment. All other municipalities and stakeholders within the RCMP catchment area would need to endorse the proposal as it will impact their service delivery. RCMP K Division would also need to agree to the proposal, so not our local detachment. Any funding would only be available on a one-year cycle as opposed to the proposed 3 to 5 year funding cycle of the zonal model. So a couple different options available as far as how we want to proceed moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Manager Mackenzie. Can I please have someone make the recommended motion?
Mayor Barkley, I would move that council accept the Victim Services Provincial Redesign Report as information.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Hystad?
Yeah, no, I think it's, I know that we've talked about this subject many times, and I think it's you know, it's a must that we put pressure on our MLA and the government for these changes. I think that, you know, when this came out, it came out through on the third week of August, and I've said it numerous times that this there was no consultation whatsoever with this model. And I understand that other communities do not have those supports, but Innisfil and numerous victim services groups have done a good job, and it just seems like that we haven't been really consulted whatsoever. So those are my comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? No? Okay, we have a motion to accept this report as information. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. Thank you. So we will move to correspondence and information. And I'll have somebody accept this correspondence as information, please.
Mayor Barkley, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions about anything in the correspondence?
Mayor Barkley, I don't have any questions. I would just like to put my thoughts forward about the letter to Honorable Jason Copping, just how disturbing those examples are in that letter.
Yeah, no, good point, Councillor Maceras. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. So I'll just ask for everybody in favor of the motion, please. Okay, carried unanimous. Thank you. And we will start with roundtable, and we'll begin with Councillor Wing today.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. A busy week last week, but yet a quiet week. I was isolated at home for a few days, but participated online with the budget deliberations and presentations on Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the business awards the evening before, but understand that the event went well, that the recipients were extremely pleased, and the folks that were in attendance seemed to be very well engaged and happy to be out and about at a community event. So that was good. And yeah, I think we have another relatively busy week coming up, so I look forward to seeing you all in the morning at more budget meetings.
Thank you, and Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I also attended the Chamber Business Awards, and congratulations to all that won an award that evening. And I attended the budget deliberations, the intense budget deliberations, and looking forward to sometime tomorrow morning if we have to review. So that's about all I did for the last week. Yeah.
Nothing going on, right? No, okay. Councillor Dunham.
I also was in attendance at the Chamber Business Awards, and it was really wonderful to see everybody gathering again after a few year absence, and it was very well put on, and it was really, in your absence, it was wonderful to see Mr. Kimball make such a good host for the evening, and it was just wonderful to see everybody there. Once again, the budget deliberations, a couple intense days, but we're working our way through it and look forward to tomorrow. And then, yeah, I attended the opening of the Innisfail Festival of Trees, which was very good, and looking forward to a very, very busy week coming up with tomorrow's continuation budget deliberations and the hometown Christmas market and all the events going on this coming Saturday, the community check stop, just so many things going on. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dunham. Councillor Maceras.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Yeah, I feel a little light just because I'm keeping myself in a bubble right now. But I did attend the budget deliberations last week, and yes, intense, as everybody has said, and looking forward to tomorrow. And if all goes well, I imagine I will be missing council next Monday, and that should be it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, and we wish you all the best next Monday, and hopefully it carries on. Councillor Bates, or Councillor Hystad, sorry.
That's okay. Mr. I just want to wish Councillor Maceros all the best during his surgery coming up. And I attended the Festival of Trees, Innisfail Eagles game on Saturday night. And of course, budget deliberations, and looking forward to just, wrapping up things up tomorrow with all of you. So thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates.
So Councillors Dunham and Harrison both neglected to mention that they were at the rail crossing ribbon cutting. So I'll add that into their into their list without them having to come back. And the mayor graciously allowed me to use the big scissors, and I didn't run with them. But in retrospect, I wish I'd said more at the event. So I did follow up with the press because I believe administration sent them a picture, and I did follow up with him and give him a little more background. So we'll see how that comes out. I also attended the chamber recognition, and of course budget and the Alberta Municipalities funding discussion. And I've been learning everything there is to know about charging and planning your trips. Everybody understands that. This week, the budget tomorrow. I'm also looking forward to all the other events that have been previously mentioned, and my grandkids are going to be at the Christmas Tree Festival wind up again on Sunday, so if you, 1 o'clock, I think. What is it? What is it? Mark Kimball says, shameless plug. And I noticed there's a great big sign at the entrance to Hazelwood about Ritchie Brothers auction, and if you drive up to the Malibu lots, there's probably at least, I didn't count them, half a dozen of them that are signed that they're going to be sold in the upcoming auction. So hopefully whoever buys them builds quickly. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So I was at the ribbon cutting at the railway crossing, so thanks to Councillor Bates for taking on those big scissors. We did try to trim Councillor Harrison's mustache a little bit, but it was great to see Councillor Bates do that because he was such an advocate for that crossing. Also, CEO Becker and I met with Victim Services last week and was at the Chamber of Business Gala. I also want to give a shout out to Councillor Wing for all the work that has gone on with the board the last couple of months with the Chamber, and I know it's taken a lot of everybody's time, so appreciate it very much. Congratulations to all the nominees and, of course, to the award recipients as well. Want to give a little shout out to Patty at the front desk at the Festival of Trees. I was volunteering there on the weekend, and a couple came along, and they had moved into Innisfail about 6 months ago, and they are absolutely raving about Innisfail and came from Calgary and wish they would have done it 10 years ago. Both still working, but they didn't know who I was or anything, so they weren't saying this to appease me, but they started talking about the town of Innisfail and the reception desk and how helpful that person was at reception. I said, oh, Patty, and they go, yeah, that's the person anyway. She looked after them really well and got them moved into Innisfail, so that is great to hear. Also another resident, Jim Carter, this is from a little while ago. He had reached out, sent a message, wanted to give a big thanks to front desk as well as Director Kennedy's team for fixing headstone in the cemetery and getting on that really quickly, and they were very grateful that happened. I was also really pleased to see the announcement in the news about Varma and their partnership with Ermineskin First Nation. That's good news. And then I'm just going to take a few minutes here to talk about CAPE. I made some notes. I've been mentioning the keynote speaker the last couple of days at budget, but his name was Sasha Sergeev, and he's a supply chain management professional. He's a former director of supply chain management process and performance at Cenovus. So the key takeaways from his presentation, he gave an example of a car being built with American steel, Japanese glass, Mexican plastics manufactured in a coal power manufacturing plant in China. And then the car is on back order for 6 months due to semiconductor issues. And those semiconductor issues are primarily coming out of Ukraine, which supplies 40% of neon gas that's used in semiconductors that are needed for sensors, for cruise control and airbag deployment in particular. This was presented as an example why it may be prime time for Alberta, as many companies are considering nearshoring or onshoring. And there's huge potential for central Alberta in particular for logistics and warehousing. His forecast shows an upcoming shortage in rubber for tires, in cement, and helium, which also impacts semiconductors and cables. He said labor shortages continue to be a major headwind, in particular in the drilling industry, construction, and trucking. On the good news front, he said they do see back orders decreasing. Container costs for shipping have fallen dramatically. But as I just said, that the labor market will be quite heated for months to come, severe supply-demand imbalance. And Sasha forecasts automated warehouses with 50% less workforce will begin to become the norm. We'll see, won't be long before we see driverless trucks and, of course, robots doing most of the work inside warehouses. Manufacturers have gone from just-in-time to just-in-case in inventory management, and they're currently developing very deep relationships with suppliers rather than bouncing from supplier to supplier, looking for the best price. Digitization is also greatly impacting the supply chain management process, and he showed a slide, and there was just hundreds, I'm going to say, of companies that are now in that digitization space that's supporting supply management. So one of the biggest trends that he is seeing is responsible procurement, which fits very well with our potential social procurement policy. The companies are taking into consideration sustainability when ordering goods and services, so GHG emissions, and whether they are scope 1, 2, or 3 based on the United Nations scoring system. He said this will become a scoring criteria, and already is for many companies and organizations. So ESG policies as well as investor and regulatory pressure is making this happen sooner rather than later. And that manufacturers are going to need to be very transparent and accountable, demonstrating what they are doing to eliminate forced labor and child labor. So his presentation was extremely interesting and certainly supports trends that are taking shape And just so council knows, I was elected to a 3-year term with CAPE. I'm excited that Innisfail has a seat at this table and looking forward to the work ahead representing Central Alberta. There was lots of excitement in the room on Friday, and I would say everyone feels that it's really Central Alberta's time to shine. So looking forward to that work getting underway. And that's it. A few things going on this week, but get to that another day. So anybody, okay, we can't have open microphone, never mind. And we'll go to upcoming events. Kara? So just a reminder, staff Christmas party is this Friday at 6, so Patty has tickets for everybody. And if you're going, please let her know in the next day or two because she needs to give the golf course a head count for number of people for dinner. And it's going to be ugly sweater, Christmas sweater, which is so good to hear because it's so comfy. And CEO Becker?
Just whenever you're done, remember.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna throw something about ugly sweaters, but I better not. I'll save it for that evening, but I forgot on my CEO report, Mayor Council. So I'll come back to you next Monday or the following Monday regarding council meetings over the holidays, just a recommendation on the timing. I failed to mention that. Then also, in conversation with SLT on Takara about sending you a survey this week, internal, just regarding priorities, now, next. Put in a survey, just see what that spits out and come back to you next Monday with, here's the outcome. This does line up with your priorities according to, the budget that you may be close to being, committing to. And just see where it goes and see if does this line up to where you want to go in the start of 2023. So that's something you'll see from Kara over the next few days.
Great, thank you. So I'll just have somebody make a motion that we accept the upcoming events as information. And I just, on that note, budget will be tomorrow half day max.
Mayor Barclay will make the motion that we accept it as information.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Perfect. And I guess we will call for an adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Councillor Maceras. All in favor?